Alright, another wonderful SRT4. Okay, so as normal, you have these poor cars here, okay? And, you know, they have long, wonderful lives. And people do strange things to these cars. So for some reason, at one time, somebody thought it was important enough to put one of these fancy dancy alarms in here. So what I'm going to do is, here we got the little red light LED for it up here. What's happening is the car's locking itself. It's beeping horns. I don't know what this wire here goes for. I guess that's yeah, clock spring. They cut that entirely off. So, but anyway, the issue is, for some reason, it's wanting to, one, lock the doors, the horns going, it's got the lights flashing. There is, this being this is an 05, it does have its own factory alarm. If anybody's dealt with that stuff, there's a sensor on the key lock, and the key lock is out of this. The driver's side door lock does not work from the inside. So anytime this was going off, you had to go to the passenger side door and unlock it twice to get the alarm to stop blinking the lights. Sometimes the horn going off, different things like that. I'm going to get myself something to kneel on because I got stones right here. I did get this. This is your passive switch. Some of these you put this, held this in, and then you turned the key and it would shut it off, or it would flash lights and it would tell you what sensor actually triggered it, because some alarms have hood, door, vibration sensors. So let's get this alarm removed out of this poor car. Looks like they got stuff taped in over here, because I can tell right now that's not a factory wire job. So let's see what mess there is. Alright, so this is some of what is in here. So, you know, they actually took the time to zip tie it back. Whether it was a person or a shop that actually did the install on this, it's hard to say till you actually get in here and start pulling stuff and trying to decide what's what. So what they'll do here is they'll actually come in. Some of these wires just tap in, other ones actually break the connection and put the sensor in between. Hoping you can see this here. I'm just snipping this. Sometimes you can, if you have a razor blade or whatever, it'll work too, but you always want to be careful you don't damage any of the other wires. Okay, so now these here, this is basically just added on, so you can snip these off like this. Okay, so that gets those ones out of the way. What do we got here? This looks like it's a ground. This thing did have a stereo system in it at one time. There's a wire end. And this blue wire here, that's for the amp remote. But I don't think it has this in this car anymore. So this screw doesn't need to be here. You could just cut this off if you want to, or give it a yank. But we're just removing everything. Okay. So now that we got that, we got these up here. This is, I believe this should be the brain box. Right here. Most of the time these are all plugged in. Yep. Alright, here we go. There's our made in Taiwan. It doesn't even, it's not even like a quality like Viper alarm or anything like that. It's actually some little cheap thing. So you end up with this whole mess up in here. Yeah, I can see it in the camera. I can't see up underneath right now, but you got this whole mess in here. Some of these ones, like I said, up here, they actually tie in and they actually will interrupt the start. So they probably have this up in here because your start switch is here, so they actually just interrupt the wires. And all you do is you just reconnect two wires back together. So more snipping is the best way to say this. Let's get this zip tie off of here. Now I'm going to grab a razor blade and I'm just going to slice that one off. I really got this one taped in here. No, it should have. This you should see. That's actually factory right there. That's the factory cover. So we'll just remove whatever tape they got going on there. And now we got to remove this here. And like I said, this is where you want to be careful so you don't slice, because you can actually slice along the length of the wire and then end up with problems later down the road if it ends up shorting on something else, or you're in there doing something, a repair or whatnot. You could end up shorting against it, or somebody down the road that's not you could be in here doing a repair. So, alright, you can see, hopefully, this thing's got some good bit of glare on it. This one here is just, okay, so these ones here, they just have those tapped in. So we'll snip them up. Alright, now, this one here, hopefully you can see it. Yellow on this side, yellow on the top side. This is the one that interrupts the starter. All these alarms are exactly the same way. If you've ever installed one or removed one, that's what they are. Now, put the zip tie. Put this zip tie. There's more zip ties up here. Alright, so we got that down out of the way. There's more pieces there. So what we'll do is we'll take this and, I mean, it would be nice to connect it back together, but usually when that happens, these end up being too short. So I'm just going to take, I'll snip this one down and strip this off. Strip this end off. And alright, now I'll get a crimp connector and I'll put them together that's heat shrinked, and that'll actually clean that up some over there and fix that. These ones here I'm going to wrap with tape. It's okay like this. You could, I'm sure, it's hard to say whether these are actually soldered in or they slit. You can actually take a piece of wire and strip a piece here so that you actually can see the copper windings, and then you just spread it, and then sometimes they'll take these and wrap them through and twist them around. That's one way they can like to connect them when they do this type of stuff. And like I said, no matter what it is, it's always a mess. I think this is, that's probably the one that runs up to the light up there. So this has just got more and more zip ties here, I believe, holding it in. Let's put this carpet back out of the way. Try to get you up in here so you can see. Yeah. Looking at the side of the brake pedal there. There's actually, I think this relay is not supposed to be here too. We've actually got a relay into the alarm system. So we got another one right here we got to cut. This is such a mess. I hate when people do this stuff. These alarms are nothing but trouble. You end up damaging the car over the long term. And these alarms ain't going to stop anybody from stealing it. The chip in this car that this is installed in this car has a chip in the key, I mean to say. And if you don't have that, you can't start it. And the column's also locked. So if the column's locked, you can't turn the wheel. So you actually have to do one of those fancy things where you actually swap out the computer to get this stuff out. Alright. See if I can't get this one. Nope. Let's just snip that there. And I mean, this is pretty much almost all of this is out except for some of this other stuff. So, gosh, guess they had a rear sensor on it. So here is part of the alarm. Here is part of the alarm, and like I said, there's that. There's a little bit here. We need to get these ones here. I need to see where they go. One of these probably runs out underneath to a horn. The green and the red I think probably do. One of these will run to a sensor. This one probably ran to a trunk sensor because they didn't know where to tap in here. Everything runs to the back, so you can tap in on all this stuff. So now that that's out, these ones here and those ones up top here, I'm going to wrap with tape, and then I'm going to get a crimp connector. I'm going to get that. But this right here, this is our alarm. This is completely out of here now. So we should have no problems doing what we need to do. Alright, so I have a crimp connector. Just got to give these a little twist. Show our wires in there. You can do all kinds of different stuff with this. I just have these channel lock crimp connectors to get these crimped. So that's together. Now, just so that this is nice, I'm going to wrap this with tape, give it a pull. They're good. This is going to seal this connection up, just in case anything comes out. That way it doesn't short. Now that's our actual start wire. That one there hits, that one there's for the starter actually. Light's pretty bright. Okay, so those other ones that I had cut off, all we gotta do is take a piece of tape and we'll get them separated. There's a little bit hanging out here. So we just want to make sure that that is shielded, and electrical tape will do that for a long time. Now that we got that, we're just going to take and fold this over, kind of like they had it, and then we'll take and wrap the factory OEM loom that was on here back up over top. We'll wrap it a couple times with some tape. Alright, we got that side good and solid. Now, we have these two down here in the kick panel that are going to need wrapped. So, let's pull that back, take tape, get it started, wrap it around there, make sure it's good, follow it back up over top of whatever mess it was originally there. Like I said, you really can't do too much with this stuff, so you're kind of stuck just doing what you want here, doing what you can. You can get in here, like I said, cut this open, tear this out. It just depends on how much time you want to spend. This is sufficient if you want to do a more quality job, and then, you know what I mean, if something needs soldered back together or crimped, you know, you can take care of all that stuff at one time. So there's that, actually. So I just have to follow out here where this one goes and get the end of this one and remove it. What do we got here? Is that where it's at? Look at that. They had, I think it's the vibration sensor down here. Yep. There we go. That one was for the vibration sensor. There we go. Ooh, audio Vox alarm. That's the shock sensor. So this thing here is, it's actually got a crack in it. So, and look, it was rubbing in there so long. Let's see. Pop this apart quick. There we go. That's the inside of a shock sensor. This thing here is on a little thing. Try to get the camera. There we go. And that moves around. Here's a sensor, a VR, like a volume knob. Right here. You can turn with a screw to make it more sensitive. I actually had it turned down pretty far. But yeah, anytime that moved, it would set the alarm off. So the whole thing was, you were supposed to set this in your car and get it mounted, and then like open-handedly, like maybe smack the windshield or something. And if you did that and it didn't go off, you wanted to get it just to the point where it started to doing that, and then turn the sensitivity down if you were actually installing this. So I mean, that's pretty much it. The alarm's now removed out of this thing. So I'm going to hook up the battery. I'm going to test everything out. I'll show you the pile of junk that I ended up coming up with, you know. So here we go. There's this. Here is shock sensor. It had one relay wired in, some fuses, the control unit, the momentary switch. Some of these, some of them used to have a single pull, single throw switch, so you could turn it off or on, but for some reason this kit didn't. So this thing was blasting the horn, so we did have the fuse out of it. So we got the fuse back in here, and we can come back in here, cycle on our key. All right, turn off our wipers. Start the car. Everything works. Like I said, if you had this disconnected, it wouldn't start. You wouldn't be able to get that. So it's no longer doing the flash when you're opening and closing doors. So there in a nutshell, that fixed our small alarm problem. This is all, like I said, all older stuff that was installed in these cars over the time period of their life. So, you know, stuff does tend to break down. I mean, I'd say your first cell phone that you had was probably smarter than that. Small alarm system. The alarm system that's factory installed in this car is more protective than that. They end up just being more of an annoyance or a hindrance to the operator of the vehicle, because they never work the way they should. So hopefully this was a little quick one on removing an alarm. Like I said, sometimes they do have the horns out underneath the hood. I didn't see anything on this one. You know, sometimes people will mount them like in here, off to the side. or they'll stick them down in the back. I don't see, here we go, what's this? Oh, right here, yep. Here's our horn for our alarm, right here. So we can remove this and throw that on the pile yet. That'll just be a nice little Phillips head screwdriver. Hopefully these come out. But yeah, these horns will go off. They'll make all kinds of annoying bzzz and buzzes and just terrible, terrible noises that you don't hear. That screw was so old and so rusted, it just snapped right off. Because you can tell, this alarm's been in here for a long time. I mean, you're talking, that alarm probably was, man, when this thing was probably new, that thing was a couple years old. So yeah, I mean, we could probably hook this thing up directly to 12 volts. See what kind of noises we can get out of it if it's got a stripped wire in here. Oh, look, they got the end cut. So let's play with this thing here quick for a second. Alright, here we go. Check it out. So, ground. Definitely the noise that made you run from the car if it was. Definitely the noise that scared you away right there. So, into the garbage. See you later, guys.